What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rogue's Passage. I'm Tanner Cherry. We're back on Twitch and YouTube live doing another live deck brew, having some brews and making a deck today. My wonderful guest today is...
Hello, everyone. I am RPGFIXX, aka Jordan. You can find me on Twitch every now and then. I do, as you probably could tell, a lot of RPGs. Final Fantasy is obviously one of my top favorites, so that's RPGs and Magic are probably two of my favorite things to do. So that's why we're here to talk about Magic and RPG related Magic cards. So I'm super stoked to brew this deck for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm a little bit happy at procrastinating this for a little bit. We've been talking about doing this deck brew for what, a month and a half that this has been spoiled.
It's been a while.
But we get to do the deck brew with the new cards that come in the precon with this card. So we actually have, like, there's a couple in here that are like auto includes that you don't want to take out of that precon.
No.
And I'm happy that we get to talk about it that way. Now, this commander, I think this is one of 5 that I want to build so far. And I know that as we speak about this today, I mean, the crystals, the colored crystals were only just released today. Like,
they just released today too.
Yeah, the set has not been fully spoiled, but it's mostly spoiled. So I don't know. We're going to talk about deck theory first, see where we want to go with this particular build, because I think this is one of the more powerful ones, or at least it seems to have gained a reputation. We're talking about Y'shtola Knight's Blessed, if you don't see it on screen right now. It's an Esper commander. I guess I'll read the card. It is 1 generic, a white, blue, and a black, legendary creature, cat, warlock, good kitty, 2/4 vigilance. At the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. You can trigger that on yourself, which is one way to go with the deck. Just rip your own life apart to draw cards. And then whenever you cast non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Y'shtola deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. So these have synergy together, which is nice. And this deck, like I said before, it's gaining a bit of a reputation for potentially being like one of those commanders where if you sit down, people may target you because it is kind of powerful. But I kind of want to talk about that because I feel like, however I've looked at people building this deck or how I may want to build this deck, it's going to be a little bit of a slow chip on most turns. I don't think... have you thought of anything in regards to this deck where you could cast, recast, and kind of finish the table in one turn?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I haven't actually figured out the cards because that's, just more the EDH approach to go to it, obviously. Like I have a EDH Orvar deck that works pretty much on recasting a bunch of the buyback cards. So, if you wanted to... I think that's like the coolest thing about this deck, if I'm being brutally honest, is there's so many different approaches you can take towards it. You could go combo. You could like take it straight CEDH if you really wanted to and just infinitely cast 3 CMC spells by whatever means necessary. Or, like we were talking about before, you can go artifacts, you can go enchantments, you could just go control, you could go... I
mean, it's non-creature spells, you go Planeswalkers, right? Like...
Exactly, right? 100%. So you could go Esper, like Super Friends,
Yeah.
This deck isn't restricted to realistically anything. Only thing is you just want to play non-creature spells. But, there's so many decks nowadays that you can run however that you want to go, right? So
I know.
I think that's my favorite thing.
I want to give a shout out to Into the 99 jumped on this immediately. They, like, right when the card was spoiled, they started cooking a budget brew for it. And they kind of they dug into the very the layer 1 where it was like, well, what if we just did a ton of mana rocks that were all 3 mana, right? Like, let's go all the bobbleheads, right? And do stuff like that. So that you can just kind of continually like ramp while also playing, triggering Y'shtola. I don't know, like, it's going to be interesting putting together the ramp category and being like, do you shy away from Arcane Signet because it's 2 mana? Or like, I think we gotta... I don't know, like...
See, that's kind of the interesting with it too, though, is because it's that weird balance, because you don't want to go turn 3 into a turn 3 rock, because what are you going to do turn 1 and turn 2, right? So, you're sitting on wanting to do turn 2 rocks, Arcane Signet, any of those other kind of ones, so that you can hit your Stola turn 3. Or obviously, if you wanted to go the hyper route to it, you could go Moxes or any of that kind of early 0 or 1 drops. But in a casual format, that's where you're sitting at, is you want to hit that 2 drop on a rock so you can hit your Stola on 4 to start your engine going on.
Get that 4 mana on turn 3, right?
Exactly, right. So it's that weird balance of wanting to do 2 rocks and then going into 3.
So I guess
to get your spells going on.
I guess we just talked ourselves into Arcane Signet, right?
I think so, yeah.
So in terms of deck concept, I would love to build this deck so that it is powerful but not really oppressive, because I feel like the decks that I've built lately that have been like that, I just get to play them less. You know?
So we're gonna delete these stacks tabs that I have set aside.
we should at least have a point where we talk about stacks and stuff, because I'd like to inform people what they could do with a deck tech like this. But I know, there's one card that I found. I mean, people have been talking about it. It is Sigil of Sleep, and it is a 1-drop enchantment aura. An enchanted creature, whenever enchanted creature deals damage to a player, basically unsummon. So her trigger, basically, if you enchant Y'shtola with this card, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you are going to deal 2 damage to each opponent and gain 2 life. So you'll be able to deal 2 damage to 3 people and unsummon each, like 1 from each of their board each time, which I think that'll end up in a bit of a pushing everybody into a constant lock. And I wanted to talk about that card, but I also think that I'm leaving on the noted list there, but I don't know if I'm going to put it in the deck, because I do feel like the absolute groan factor that would come from the table if you drop that, people just be like, come on, man, right? It's it's kind of like a winter orb type effect. You're just putting everybody into the dirt every turn.
Yeah.
But
1,000%. I actually had a looking at her aspect of the damage, which a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot, but some people can look over the fact that she does the damage. It's not loss of life or life drain or anything like that. She actually does the damage, so you can trigger your Sigil of Sleep. I actually saw a sorcery that does it as a one-off. It's called Arm the Ether, which is a little bit on flavor with the ether flavor in Final Fantasy XIV. And it does the exact same thing. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain whenever this creature deals damage, not combat damage, to an opponent, you may return target creature that player controls to its owner's hand. So if you're slinging multiple spells and you're like, okay, I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to play another spell to, get that double trigger for the 4 damage, then you're like, yeah, I'm just going to, play one spell and get a 4 for 1, where I'm going to now, deal damage to everybody and then bounce one of your creatures each.
Yeah, so that's the same wording on Sigil of Sleep. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage to a player, return target creature that player controls to its owner's hand. So, yeah, I mean, it depends. You can build this deck to be a very, very controlling deck. But also, I think that the way to get the most play out of this is going to be to build it a bit mid-range. Yeah, and also, I do kind of just want to throw some Final Fantasy cards in here with it. We got Alisei and Alphanod that come as partners, so you can tutor each of them up. They come in the deck. Stuff like that.
Which would be such a fun pairing to do as a deck itself, but I digress. Actually, I want to kind of segue into that, into some of the MVPs of the deck itself. And the first one I want to talk about is Emmett Selk of the Fantasy. He's incredible. There's two that I want to talk about. He is one of them. He just sets you online for everything you're trying to do, and if you cut him, I question your deck building skills.
Yeah, let's read this
at
card.
that point, because you get the reduction with spells in your graveyard, which you're like, like maybe I'm doing flashback stuff for that double cast to get the 4 damage and stuff like that. But the fact that you play one spell and then that same spell that turn can be cast again for 2 less, or can it?
Yeah, so let's read the card here. It's two blue and a black, or two generic, a blue and a black. Emmett Selk of the 3rd seat, Elder Wizard, legendary creature, 3/4. Spells you cast from your graveyard cost 2 less to cast. Which at first, right when you read it, you're like, oh, why is this in the deck? But it enables itself. Whenever one or more opponents lose life, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard, and then it would be exiled. You can only do it once each turn, but I do believe that you might not be able to target that spell, because if you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Y'shtola's trigger is going to hit the stack. Yeah, and that's going to resolve first, making them lose life. So what it's going to do is it's going to just give you some flashback access to other spells that are in your yard. And the cool thing is it's going to allow you to cast an instant or sorcery spell at that moment. So you'll be able to get around sorcery speed as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't say until end of turn, blah, blah, blah. It just says when they lose life at that exact moment, you can cast target instant or sorcery. So it does get away from that sorcery restrictions. You have to play it at that moment. So exactly like you said. It doesn't let you play the same one, but it does let you to play, anything else from beforehand. You get to play, for example, Factor Fiction, or not Factor Fiction also works too.
Frantic
I was thinking
Search.
Frantic Search.
Yeah,
for 1 blue mana,
right.
One
untap
blue
3
mana,
lands.
untap your 3 lands on the trigger, right?
Maybe I'll start dragging these cards in as we're talking about them, the ones that are like for sure going to be going in here. Mm-hmm. And just as I like to do, I'm going to pick some cool arts for them.
I mean, you got to bling it out, right?
Yeah, you got it. Now, maybe how about we start? I know it's like starting with like your mana base or your mana rocks or stuff like that is a nice place to start. But I think that some of the coolest things are some of the creatures.
Mm-hmm,
and
for sure.
Yeah, maybe we talk about those first. We'll continue on with from Emmett Selk there.
If I may, I'll go off to one more MVP in the deck as well.
One from the precon?
And that's gonna it comes right in the precon, and that's Lise Hexed, not Lice, Lise. She's bananas in this deck. She's a 2/2 for 1 and Azorius mana, with prowess, and non-creature spells you cost 1 less to cast. As long as you've cast 2 or more non-creature spells, she gets double strike.
Yeah, which,
so the fact
correct
that
me if I'm wrong, but that'll be hitting for 8.
Yeah, right. So you're wanting to do your best to play 2 spells every single turn. So you want to do a lot of instants, you want to do a lot of flash, stuff like that.
Yeah, the reason you want to do the 2 is so that you can get 2 triggers off of Y'shtola for the 2 damage to each opponent. That way you get the 4 life loss, which ultimately I think I've been looking at this, and I think if you're going to wait until post combat on people's turns, you may not even need to pick up your 4 life loss, because the combat may have happened and life loss may have happened, but all someone else has to do is play a shock land, and then you can cast 1 spell, get that 4 damage to draw a card.
So the fact that she reduces basically your casting costs from 6 to 4, being, you cast 2 3s, which are reduced down to 2, it reduces your cost from 6 to 4, which, in this deck, I think is going to be like some of the best stuff you want to do is those cost reducers, because you're wanting to play as many as you can.
Yep.
And then she just turns into a disgusting beater, which you play 2 spells, somebody could potentially lose 8, and it's just like, oh, you have a ton of mana open. I probably should block, but I also will probably lose my creature, and it'll be just a chump block off of a potentially big creature. That's terrifying.
You're gonna twist my arm into putting a prowess double strike creature in this deck with cost reduction. I mean, Yeah, it's got to stay in. And this is one of the reasons why I kind of happy that we waited until the pre-con list was spoiled, because the deck is gonna, like, there would have been a lot more like, oh man, I gotta figure out some cuts to put these cards in that come with the deck. Also, yeah, if you manage to get your hand on this deck, like, what's the price in Canadian on these pre-cons right now?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I think
the last I looked, they were about 120 Canadian for the regular ones.
Yep.
I just bought the whole collector's case of all of the different decks.
Wait, you got all the Surge Foil ones?
Yeah,
brother.
Yeah, it's not great.
Oh.
I paid about $1,400 for all of them.
Oh,
it's bananas. It hurt my wallet. But you know, I've been playing this game for my entire life, and it's not about the value. It's 1,000% the nostalgia. And
now, did you say
they're staying in the boxes?
Yeah, I was gonna say, before we started recording, you were like, "This pains me that I got to leave it in the box."
Yeah, right. It's like looking at the collector's Y'shtola that we have hanging up on the side here. I'm just like, I have to live with the regular art, but
well, I will tell you that I believe
find another one.
I believe this one I've got pictured here with the cool, like, lavender background. I don't think that one comes in any of the Commander decks, even the Surge Foil one. I think the Surge Foil is of the regular version. And I believe that these versions are only found in collector's packs. And I looked it up because I do want to get this one, and it's currently, this one in Surge Foil is currently pre-ordering for 99 Canadian for the card.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to master the set, it's going to be a pricey one for sure.
Yeah, we'll keep tabs with you on that one. Jordan's trying to put together the master collection on this set. And now, does that mean every version in foil and unfoil?
No, it's just going to be every best version in foil.
I see, just one of each card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to splay all back here. It's going to be
up on the wall. Sick.
Yeah, it's going to go on the wall.
Let's move on to another creature. Actually, let's talk about the other one that comes in the pre-con here. This one is a maybe for me. This is Grahatia, Scion Reborn. Yes. It is white, blue, black for a 2/3 lifelink cat wizard. And the ability is basically whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can pay X life, where X is that spell's mana value. So if you cast something for 3 or 4 or whatever, you can just instantly get your 4 life loss trigger to draw your card. And then if you do, you create a 1/1 colorless hero token with X 1/1 counters on it once each turn. Do you think that this, like, I think we're going to be struggling with creature count because we want to keep a non-creature spell count very high. Do you think this one should live in the deck?
This one's kind of like an interesting one because the deck itself, it splits into 3 different kind of archetypes, and it interestingly leads into a bit of a token theme in the deck. It's kind of its like sub theme.
Yep.
And this one's actually super duper cool, especially if you're doing any kind of like life loss mechanics or anything like that, or you're just trying to make creatures. I find it interesting that it's basically a Shark Typhoon on a stick as well. Just the fact that you're trying to put in as many non-creature spells as you can, that you're as you said, you're sitting on not a lot of creatures. So being able to create those creatures alongside what your deck is already trying to do, I think is super duper cool. There's actually one card that I kind of looked at that was a little cheeky. It's not great, but it gets you that magical number 4 right off the bat. And that's Phyrexian Processor. So it is a non-creature. It is a 4 mana non-creature. It's an artifact. And as it enters the battlefield, you pay any amount of life. So for me, I would pay the 4 life, right? So you get your 4 life lost, and then you can pay 4 mana to put a XX black minion creature onto the battlefield, where X is the life you've paid, right? So you get the trigger, you get the I would choose lose 4. So you lose your 4. You drain for 2. You're going to draw a card at end of turn, and now basically you neutral out with a 4/4 for 4, which it's not mana efficient by any means, but it's one of those cheeky ones where you're like, hey, I did like 5 things, and now if I need a body, I can make a body, which I think is super duper cool.
Do you think this is going to I'm worried about having to put 4 mana into this every turn to get things?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's like it's definitely on the lower end of like the casual one, but just looking at that theme of hitting 4 damage every single turn, I thought this one was just too funny, because you're just like, yep, I'll lose 4. I will willingly lose 4, and then even then you just still get the trigger, which is great.
Yep.
You get to draw the card at end of turn, and then it gives you that option. It's not strong in any way, shape, or form, but I just thought it was super funny, because then you could also, if you had the 8 mana for it, you could be like, oh, I need a big body, I'm gonna lose like 20 something odd life, and then make a 20 something odd.
Yeah, that's
and make a big boy body.
I feel like if you're chipping everybody's life total every turn, like kind of like a like an impact tremors type effect, it does draw a bit of ire, and I was thinking stuff like Ghostly Prison and Propaganda might be helpful just to pad the life total a little bit. I think the Phyrexian processor I'm going to put over in the maybe board until we figure out maybe what the categories are looking like and how saturated they are. Grahatia, do you think, just before we go too far, do you think we should have this in or out? Do you think it's too cute?
As well, so that's the thing, right? Because it's like basically every time you play a spell, you're gaining 2 life, more or less. Right? You're draining for 2 for sure, but you're gaining 2 every time you play a spell, right? So if you're playing a 3 CMC spell, you're going to gain 2 life and you're going to lose 3, right? So if you're on the theme of 3 CMC, you're really like losing 1 life to
get a 4/4.
3/3.
It's a +1/+1 counters on a 1/1. So yeah, actually that is not bad.
Does it make a 1/1?
It makes a 1/1 colors hero.
He does make a 1/1. Yeah. So it's you lose 1 life to make a 4/4, which
that's
is
pretty good.
Really, really good.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sold. Next creature I want to talk about, I guess, which is an auto include. It is, I guess, a pricey card. What is this? $37.99 on Card Kingdom. Delny.
Delny, yes.
Now, Delny is being put in the evasion category. I'm going to put it in the creature category. Delny is 2 and a white, and creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. That's not really what we want it for. We want it for if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers an additional time. So that's going to automatically turn Y'shtola into her ability, doing 4 to each player, which will trigger her first ability. And then the other one,
that first ability, it can be sneaky, right? Because Y'shtola only needs that 4 damage, right? So you're going to get the double trigger either way whenever you play a spell. But that's kind of one of the other things you can look at is, it's 4 damage that you're looking for. So that 2 damage when she's vigilant, if you're able to get that chip damage in, it works, right?
2 damage all can help the other ability go off.
Damage.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So, if you're like, and that makes Delny will make Y'shtola more or less unblockable unless you're playing against white weenies or something like that, and they have an army of 1/1s. But
right, and then you're eating the most part, tokens. You just
exactly
in a vigilant way.
The other one, it's like, oh, I can't block with my 27/27 Galta. I guess I'll just take 2 damage, right?
Yeah. So you know what? Do we put? I've got Roaming Throne here as well, which does the same thing that Delny does.
And this is actually a good segue into one of the archetypes that I wanted to talk about, which would be super duper fun, which you could kind of lean this into, because you do want to, if you want to sit on your throne and just basically just get those double triggers, you have to find a way to get double triggers without casting 2 cards. right? So, Roaming Throne, Delny, all those double triggers, the additional triggers are incredible. Because then you play one spell, you get the 4, you get to draw a card. Now you're netting 0, right?
Yeah.
Instead of playing 2 cards to draw 1 card on baseline, now you play 1 card, get the double trigger, then you get to draw a card at end of turn, which is great. Which goes into the other archetype that I thought would be super duper cool for those who like to play it, is actually clones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
yeah, actually, I've got a bunch in here as well.
Irenicus's Vile Duplication, Sakashima, like all that kind of stuff. Now you go back into that aspect where it's like, okay, now I only have to play 1 card, and then now I'm draining for 4.
Yeah.
And then I'm drawing now 2 cards because I have 2 copies of Y'shtola.
So
You can go into that like Morphous kind of deck how you want to build.
Yeah, and I do think that that's kind of like how I would like to play this, where, spark doubling our commander and just being able to get both of her abilities doubled.
I think that's kind of the cool thing too. If you're just like, hey, I just want to add some clones to the deck, and that's really it. You look at all of your other, especially because you have to do legendary, right?
Yeah.
You look at all of our creature MVPs, right? Like you look at Lise, you look at Grahatia, you look at Emet-Selch, right? You're like,
yeah, you got lots of targets.
Why not 2, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I think we're both on this train here. I'm going to put Irenicus's Vile Duplication in here. It's a 4-mana sorcery that create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it's flying and isn't legendary.
Ooh, it's flying.
Yeah, it actually gives it flying. And then we're also going to get, Quantum Misalignment from Doctor Who is only 1 more mana, but it has rebound.
Yep. So you get to cast it again, get the trigger, and now you get it with both. So you get the the double there, which is great.
So then we'll put in both versions of Sakashima. Oh, you know what? We've got a clones category. I'm just going to put all the clones. Actually, wait. Spark double over here. Roaming Throne. Yeah, you know what? Roaming Throne is going to clone essentially the trigger. And I might put Delny over there as well, just because these are all going to... That's seven cards that are going to try and make Y'shtola's effects double.
Mm-hmm.
What is Hermes? No, that's not. Okay. So maybe we just pivot here for a second and talk about Alisei and Alphanod.
Mm-hmm.
These, because we're kind of focusing on creatures here in a funny way. Alisei is 2 and a white. And partners with Alphanod, so it's kind of like the Battle Bond partners, where when you cast one, you can look in your library or your graveyard, even in your hand or whatever. What a target player may put into their hand from their library, then shuffle. Okay, I see. Just your library. It's a 3/2 first strike, but it says the second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. So that's just second spell. That's not that can allow you to get your Roaming Throne out for 2 after you've cast a non-creature spell, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, there's no restriction there. It's just your second spell.
Down to put these in?
Yeah, for sure.
Flavor reasons?
Like it helps with your dual casting. Obviously, you get Alisei. You are investing that mana early on into creatures, but it does help your later game for sure. It's a card draw engine. It's it's a reduction, especially when you're sitting on trying to play multiple cards every turn. Again, it turns that 3 mana into 4, because then you go 3 mana for 1, and then you get the reduction of 2 on the second one for only 1 mana, which is great.
Yeah, and then Alphanod is basically whenever you cast your second spell each turn, draw a card. So they have high synergy with each other. Casting one tutors for the other. I think that they are incredible at, like, not only good includes, but also just side by side with Y'shtola. It just feels right.
Yeah, I
just
agree.
feels right. So the other thing that actually this one is in the pre-con, I think. And I wouldn't mind talking about this. This is Liesa Shroud of Dusk. Is this in the pre-con or is this not? I can't remember, but it is a 5 mana, 2 generic white, black, 5/5 flying lifelink. Rather than pay 2 for each previous time you've cast this spell from the command zone this game, pay 2 life that many times. So that won't apply this time. But it says whenever a player casts a spell, they lose 2 life. So it's just going to turn everything into making our card draw go nuts on your Stola, and it's a 5/5 flying lifelink. So
I feel that can be counterintuitive what you're trying to do, though. Especially like it depends what you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to just do the stacks route, where you're like, "K, Liesa, combo, like whatever you do, it's gonna hurt you," right?
Yeah.
Like group slug, absolutely. But if you're on the route where you're like, "I want to be the one that's casting 2 spells every single turn," like even on your turns, then it's like, yeah, you're losing the 4, but now you're losing 4 every turn, and then sure you're losing 2, and you are getting those triggers, but you're gonna get those triggers anyways by casting 2 spells.
yeah, so this is a maybe.
I think it's a maybe. If like again, it depends where you want to take it. In like that stacks route where you're like, yeah, no matter what you do, you're gonna get hurt. I think it's great because then it's like, it's not restricted. It's whenever they cast a spell. Oh, I cast my commander, you lose 2. Oh, I cast a brainstorm, lose 2. Right.
It's also gonna.
Oh, I'm gonna kill your other thing. Cool, you're losing 2. Right.
Yeah, but it's also going to reimburse us 5 life a turn. Essentially, there's usually going to be a place to peck in for 5, which will also then take 5 life off of somebody's life total as well. But it is a 5 drop,
which is crazy. It is a 5-drop too, but it is a creature, so you don't get the trigger.
Yeah, so we'll keep this in the maybe for a second.
I think so.
Okay, and then what else we got? We got Comball here. Whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, that player loses 2 life and you gain 2 life.
Yeah.
So that whenever an opponent casts a non-creature spell, yeah. So this sort of helps us. I mean, it's good, right? The only life lost that's happening is opponents. And then
yeah,
we're gaining
and that's
life.
exactly what I mean, right? Because then this one especially, I like combo more than Liesa because Liesa is inhibiting you a little bit too.
Yep.
Because you are trying to double spell as much as you can. So now you're losing 4, but Combo's different because it's like, oh, I'm gonna play a non-creature. Okay, cool. I drain for 2. Now all you have to do is like they've done half of the work for you. So now all you have to do is play 1 spell, and then you're good to go, right?
All right, this one's going in.
Yeah,
So
I
currently-
love Combo. I think he's great.
Yeah. Now,
If we're talking about creatures, one thing I do really want to kind of talk about, especially if you are trying to do those 2 spells every turn, enabling flash is super duper important for me. And there's 3 creatures that I think just fit the bill and are so much fun. Ones are classic Tidal Barracuda. Everyone gets flash, except for on your turn. It's what's it called? I always forget the name. Not Banisher Priest.
here, let me look it up. Tidal Barracuda.
Barracuda.
It is a 3 and a blue. Any player may cast spells as though they had flash, but your opponents can't cast spells during our turn.
Yeah. So you get to do your thing. Everyone else gets to do whatever the heck they want, and it's a very interesting like group hug piece because people are like, "Ooh, I get flash. I don't want to do like nothing." But then when
Interesting.
you decide to potentially combo off on your turn, they can't do anything about it, right?
Cool, I like that. Yeah, and then we got High Fate Trickster.
Yes, so that was the other one I wanted to talk about, which I know a lot of people are talking about right now, but it's just so perfect. So it's a 4/2 blocker. So if someone for some reason swings in with a 1/1, or you need to block to live, you could flash it out and block if you really, really needed to. It gives you flash, so you get to play anything, anytime. And it is a 4 power body with evasion with the flying. So on your turn, that's going to get you the 4 damage that you want by just swinging into somebody that doesn't have flying or reach, right?
Yep, it's a 4/2 flyer. I mean, so this you mentioned 3 cards. This one, they're both 4 mana, and then there's also Leyline of Anticipation, which is a non-creature spell at least.
Yeah, so I guess there's 5 because I was also going to. You could also add the Vidalcan Orrery and Leyline of Anticipation.
Yeah,
Starting with Leyline's a little awkward because you don't get to cast it, but you also get Flash, which is epic. So those work as well. The other one that I wanted to talk about, though, which requires a bit of setup, but it feels so good when you get to do this. I actually have a deck around this. That's the Phyrexian Heliod that flips over. So
right.
it's 4 mana to play. I forgot the name.
Heliod, God of the Sun, or Heliod, comma, the Radiant Dawn.
That one, I believe.
Yeah, this is the when it enters the battlefield, return target enchantment card that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand, or you can pay 3 and a Phyrexian blue to transform it. So there's 8 mana really, or 7 mana and some life to switch it to the backside, which is you may cast spells as though they had flash, and spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card your opponents have drawn this turn. So it really enables your flash speed stuff.
And which is great, right? Because, and that's what I mean, is it's a lot of setup. And if they get rid of it, then they get rid of it, which is a bit of a bummer. But that reduction is nothing to scoff at, right? That turns your 8, 9, 10, 20 mana worth of stuff that you want to do into 2, 3, 4, 5 mana that you can do in one huge turn.
Yeah,
and
I like
you
it.
get to play whatever you want whenever you want. You go to your turn, attack somebody for 4, get your trigger, draw your card, pay no mana, pass turn.
Yeah, leave it all up.
I think he's great. But
I love it.
If I had to pick 1 or 2, I would really like the High Fae Trickster for sure is incredible.
Yep.
And I think for me, I would probably just do, if I had to choose 2, I would probably choose Vidalcan or Leyline. Just for the fact it is a non-creature, which gets you one of the triggers, which is incredible, right? That's what you're looking for.
So are you suggesting we put Tidal Barracuda and Heliod back in the maybe board?
I mean, that's up to you, right? I don't think you need 5 pieces of flash. Having it incidentally is great, but it's not a important theme to the deck because you're probably going to be playing a lot of interaction with instant sorceries. Instances, flash creatures, any of that kind of stuff.
All right, we'll put that back. We'll leave Heliod for now because the backside is so good. The fact that it gives us cost reduction as well, I think that's going to push for big turns later on. I guess there is one category here that I want to jump into right away because I think it's going to be, regardless of how you want to build Y'shtola, I think focusing on curiosity effects are going to be probably the backbone of this deck, right?
I think so. Yeah. Which you get Curiosity, you get Ophidian Eye, which gets you the same thing as Curiosity, but it does give you a trigger, which is awesome.
Yeah, Ophidian Eye is a 2 and a blue. Whenever an enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. It's already got flash, which is nice, so you can trigger on another person's turn. And then was there more of this effect?
Helm of the Ghast Lord is ridiculous.
Helm of the Ghast Lord is it's going in no matter it's a little rude because let's read this. 3 and then a hybrid Dimir mana, a blue or a black. It's enchant creature. As long as it is blue, it gets +1/+1. It has whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, draw a card. And then as long as it's black, they discard a card. And it also gets +1/+1. So putting this on Y'shtola turns them into a 4/6.
Yes.
And that gives you the
with vigilance.
Yeah, with vigilance. And whenever it deals damage, that you're going to draw and opponents are going to discard. So this one it's on the borderline of super rude, but it's it's so good. I don't think I've ever seen a deck better for this card.
Obviously when you're building a deck, you want to look at your win cons, right? And this is, if you wanted to go that combo route, this is one of those CDH pieces where it's okay, you're looping, I don't know, Coveted Jewels or something like that, getting a ton of mana. and you just play this card. If somebody doesn't respond to it, the game is probably over because you're going to start drawing 3 cards for every card you play, right? You play a spell, get the Y'shtola trigger. Y'shtola deals the damage, which will draw you 3 cards because you're hitting 3 opponents. And then you're like, oh, cool, another like 3 mana spell. I'm going to play that. Draw 3 more cards, kill the table, right? And then you can pair that obviously with, chaining off for whatever you're trying to do, to either kill the table, or if it's getting super late game, you're ripping your Thassa's Oracle, your Labman, any of that kind of stuff, right? The second this card hits the table, if somebody doesn't kill Y'shtola or like gets rid of this Helm of the Gas Lord, y'all in for a bad time.
Yeah, they're gonna hate you. They're gonna hate you. There's like, same with that Sigil of Sleep. I don't know. I might not put it in the deck. I'm gonna leave it in the maybe board because I know that if I have that card in my hand, I'm probably, the way I play, and I guess our local play group and this and that, I'll probably like be incentivized to pull my punches on that card. Only play it if I feel like it's not gonna.
It's, when you think about it, it's not like, the discard really sucks. And if you're playing instants and sorceries, you got to think too, you got to play 7 spells worth of mana for the most part
to dump someone's hand.
Really dump someone's hand, right?
Yeah, so and then there's also people who want to discard.
It is a 1-for-1, right? So it's like, it's not like not Mayhem Devil, the one devil or the demon, I think, where everyone discards their hand at the end of turn.
Oh yeah, that's so rude.
The Rakdos one, yeah. It's just like, oh, no one ever has a hand ever. Like, no matter what you do, then that's not great. But if it's like, okay, whenever I play a spell, everyone discards a card, it sucks, but it's not, oh my god, I'm a flip a table. Because it is limited to how many spells you can cast, which is kind of nice.
I'm going to, sorry, I got a cold today. I'm going to mute the mic for a second and cough. Oh, yeah. It's springtime. I'm getting sick, and I have a very small child that brings home so many sicknesses.
Springtime sicknesses.
I have a question.
This card is one of the ones that just has to go into a deck, and in my opinion, it's, like I said, if it slaps the table, y'all in for a bad time. Yeah.
Now, do we run Heliod's Pilgrim to search for Curiosity, Ophidian-Eye, Helm of the Gas Lord?
Again, that's kind of the route you can take it, right? Because if you look at the tiers of, jank to casual to competitive to CEDH, I find that gap between competitive, actually even just casual to competitive, is your
ability and your consistency. Yeah.
Right. So if you're like, hey, I want to get this curiosity loop. Well, it's not really a loop, but I want to get this curiosity stuff going on as much as I can all the time. Then you're like, hey, yeah, I'll get, Heliod's Pilgrim. I'm going to go get
Enlightened Tutor, Idyllic Tutor. I didn't actually have them. Yeah. I was thinking, I'm going to put them over here so that they're in the list, whether they're in the maybe board or the main board. Enlightened Tutor and Idyllic Tutor. We're just going to go ahead and add them here because I think the way that I want to build this deck is that I'd like to have these. Mm-hmm. Enlightened Tutor is nice because you can go search for your Vidalcan Orrery as well.
I think get you your other Heliod if you wanted.
Yeah, I think maybe just like the 3 white tutors are fun in this deck because they put the plan together, but they're not like, you're not tutoring for Thassa's Oracle to win the game that turn kind of thing, right?
And that's the thing, right? Because it's like you, like just as you said, right? It's like it's those cards like Curiosity, Ophidian-Eye, and the Helm. It's like it just makes your game go so much quicker, and it doesn't break the game. Like if you're like, oh, I'm gonna, I guess you can't really do this, but I'm going to idyllic tutor for curiosity to put in my Niv Mizzet deck, right? Where it's like, oh, now I just win the game.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's like,
it's
no,
not
I'm
quite
just
that
going to
level.
draw a lot of cards.
Another really good aura that I'd like to talk about. There's two, actually. One of them is Steel of the Godhead. I'm going to go ahead and put that. It's under evasion, and that's probably okay. It's an aura that's 2 and a Dimir, or sorry, hybrid Azorius mana, white or blue. So it's a 3 mana non-creature spell, and as long as as long as the creature is white, it gets +1/+1 at lifelink, and if it's blue, it's +1/+1 on unblockable. So it does the similar thing to the Helm of the Gas Lord, but it gives you lifelink and unblockable, which I think are just two. These are like semi-fair things to do for Y'shtola, but also it gives Y'shtola lifelink, which is going to then gain. You're going to be getting 8 life for each of her triggers because it's going to be dealing 6 to opponents.
Yeah. And then it also, because it gives her unblockable, the fact it gives her unblockable and +2/+2, it gets her right into that 4 damage range to just smack somebody unblockable.
To draw a card.
And then block later on if you needed to, gain life on the combat damage. And then, like you said, gain 8 life to whenever you play one spell is crazy. So that's another route that, a person can take. It is like the fact that she does the damage. If you just give her lifelink, like lifelink decks, this is going to go crazy, right? Because, you could play like your Bullets of Citadel, you could play, your Aetherflux Reservoir, any of that kind of stuff. Or it's like, hey, whenever I gain life, this is actually the crazy thing too, right? Because it's like, if it's like one of those cards where it's like whenever you gain life, you gain that +1. This lifelink trigger is going to trigger 3 separate times if it has lifelink, right? Because you're going to deal damage to 3 different opponents, which is going to have 3 separate instances of gaining life.
Oh yeah, true.
Right. So then if you have those compounding ones, it gets even crazier.
Like an Archangel of Thune or whatever, whenever you gain life, put a 1 on counter on all your creatures.
Yeah, it just gets stupid.
That would be pretty nuts.
Yeah, that would be bananas.
Okay, so on other cards that I think were pretty have to, and again, it sucks that so many of them are creatures, but you got Sig River Cutthroat.
Yeah, this one was talked about before. I also like Sig because, when your deck starts going online and the table sees what you're doing, they're gonna be like, no, we're just gonna continually kill Y'shtola because that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Right. Sig helps as kind of like a secondary commander doing kind of what you want the deck to do, because at least you're gonna continually draw cards when you're playing your interaction, your non-creatures, all that kind of stuff.
How do you feel about it in the list?
Getting that damage in, you get to draw those cards, right?
So you feel you're on board?
I think so. I really like Sig. Anything that helps draw cards is, always good in my books.
Yeah, it's a good one. This one, actually, I want to talk about this. Another creature. It's a name that most people do not speak in their house. This is Jin Gataxias. It's the self-titled album Jin Gataxias. 3 blue, legendary Phyrexian Plater 5/5. It's got Ward 2, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, draw a card. And that would be good just on its own. But we've also got a 3 and a blue to transform it. Activate as a sorcery only if you have 7 or more cards in hand, which this deck really enables. How do I flip this over? I think we have to put it in the list and then go towards it, and then here's the transform. So 3 and a blue to transform it. You would draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand, which would be minimum 7. No maximum hand size for as long as you control the Great Synthesis. Number 2 is return all non-Phyrexian creatures to their owner's hands. So it's a little bit of a board wipe. But the third chapter says you may cast any number of spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. So you get to redeploy your own. It's not really punishing you.
Yeah.
And then it switches back over into Jin-Gitaxias. So this card is a absolute house in this deck. I've never seen a better deck, I think, for this. It's crazy.
I don't think so, right? You know, like you look at all the other ones, it's like you put the only other thing you would maybe put into this is like a Jeskai or a like Izet build. Where same thing, you're just trying to play as many spells as you can. But this one just it fits the bill in every aspect that you could want. Right, because again, like with Jin-Gitaxias on the face end, it just again enables what you want to do in the deck already, which is play CMC3 cards and draw cards. So you're just going to continually churn through your deck over and over and over again, getting into whatever kind of answers you're looking for. If you're, looking to close out the game, like I said, if you're doing like Thassa's Labman, it just churns through even more. And like if your Stola's gone, it's such a good alternative. And then that flip side, if you're like, okay, I'm in a super pinch and I got nothing going on, I got nothing in hand, or like whatever. I guess you have to have 7 cards in hand to flip, but that's again not hard, right?
Now, this like I am starting to realize that like we are very creature heavy. Well, I guess half and half right now. Where we're at, we're at 28 cards so far in our list.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 creatures that I count so far? Not terrible. Even like sitting in a Spellslinger deck, you still want creatures, right? So, you're sitting 15, 20, sometimes even 25 creatures to really enable what you want to do with the deck. So
maybe what we should do next here is I know that there's other like auto includes, but I wouldn't mind figuring out a ramp category here. Because I do think that like the more I'm thinking about it, if we are at a deficit of 3 mana, 3 non-creature spells, maybe having some 3 mana rocks like Chromatic Lantern and stuff like that, they're active draws later in the game instead of dead draws, because not only do you get to play them for 3 mana, but it kind of pays you 1 back to use right away. So, but it'll also trigger your Stola, which I don't know if we want to put in a bunch of talismans, because those are like sort of dead draws later.
Because and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier with that balance where you're sitting there where you're like, you want some 2s, like 1s and 2s, obviously Soul Ring, stuff like that, to get at least 1 in your opening hand to get you into your Stola on turn 3.
Right.
But I agree. Signet. Like everything else, you really want to have as 3 with, not just as rocks, but with any other kind of additional abilities or anything like that that'll really help you accelerate your game in the
game plan later. Yeah. What are some more 3 mana rocks that are worth considering here?
Thinks I look at 3 mana rocks.
This man knows nothing about 3 mana rocks. Which is funny because neither do I. I mean, I know there's Dragon's Horde for Dragon's decks. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like Chromatic Lantern for filtering is also, really, really good.
There's so many that were made recently. Like, what is that one? Bonder's Ornament?
That one's another fun one. That's a really fun one in Pauper, although they banned it forever ago.
Oh, they did ban it. Yeah, so it's a 3 mana, add 1 of any color, or 4 and tap. Each player who controls a Bonder's Ornament draws a card. We're never going to be worrying about spending 4 mana to draw a card, but I'm curious if we need to focus on, I don't know, a few 3 mana rocks at least.
Yeah, like there's you get like the lockets and stuff like that can help you
with the colors,
draw some cards in the later game, stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you what's that? Relic of Legends. Tap a legendary for a mana. Can net you more.
Relic of Legends is 3 mana, add 1 mana of any color, or also tap an untapped legendary creature you control to add 1 mana of any color. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Yep. I like that.
If you wanted to, you could really go Bobblehead Tribal, which is hilarious.
If you have room in the deck, I feel like I'm going to be, by the time we get through all the stuff we're suggesting, I don't know if we're going to have room for the Bobblehead package, but also like they're kind of funny, right? Like the more Bobbleheads you have, the better effects you get off them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we'll add some more of these as we go.
Bounty Board is a fun one. I run that in, what's her name? Marchesa. It's so fun. So it's a mana rock. It's a 3 rock. But you can put a bounty counter on a creature. And whenever a creature with a bounty counter on it dies, each of its controller's opponents draws a card and gains 2 life.
Oh, interesting.
So it kind of like will be like, hey, I don't like that thing. I want to kill it. And then you get to draw some cards and gain some life, which is it's nice. It's sure your opponents get to do it, but it is a 3 mana rock that gets to do something extra. And I think one of the things that I really like about this deck is there can be a lot of politicking around it. You know, like you can be running obviously your Pillow Fort Stacks pieces, but you can also run you can run tactics to it, right? Where you're like, hey, with this bounty board, I don't want that creature. Please kill that so we can draw cards, right? Or, you know, you can play Brina and being like, hey, if you attack an opponent, you get to draw a card. Sure, my stuff gets bigger, but, you know, you get to draw a card out of it. And, you know, kind of relaying that kind of board and controlling the board that way, I think is just fun.
Yeah. All right, so we got 5 ramp pieces there, which is not too bad. I do also have some removal in here. I think that being an Esper deck, wanting to cast non-creature spells, 3 mana and up, there's a bunch of good options for 3 mana spells in removal. I've got Voidrend, obviously. I've got one of these gilded versions as well in my collection. I'm definitely going to put it in this deck because it's beautiful how shiny those are.
It looks so sweet.
I also have a Vindicate Invocation on the wall here as well. Ooh. That I want to put in. So these both destroy target permanent. Well, Vindicate is permanent. Voidrend is non-land permanent.
Get rid of pesky lands, anything like that.
We got Stroke of Midnight. 3 mana, destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a human creature token.
I'll talk about the obvious one, I guess. Going to be Dismember.
Yep.
For sure, being because you get to kill a creature, but you also get the 4 damage trigger off of yourself, paying the 2 for Phyrexian Black.
Yeah, it's a 1 mana, like draw a card and nuke something that's 5 toughness. Like, it's insane. And Snuff Out as well.
Yes, Snuff Out is another really good one.
Which is actually in the deck. It's reprinted finally in this precon.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It comes in the deck. So it's...
Oh, that's right, because it's Edda. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this art is super cool, and I'm excited to see it for sure. The other obvious one that people have been talking about, which I know I see it there, is Slaughter. It is a 4 mana removal spell for a non-black creature, so it's not very mana efficient. But it's kind of a slam dunk in this deck because it has buyback, pay 4 life.
Yep.
So, you know, if you're doing all of these reducers, like you get Alisei, you get like even Emmett Selk if you wanted to cast it from the graveyard. Lise, if you have her on the field, any of those kind of reducers, that 4 mana isn't really looking that bad. And now you can just, you know, continually chain off this 4 damage, just killing non-black creatures all the time.
It's gonna have some targets. I do think, we got to be responsible adults and put the black free cast spell in here. Mm-hmm. What is that one again? The deflecting swat
Deadly
cycle.
Rollick.
Yeah, Deadly Rollick. Deadly Rollick you can cast for free and exile target creature. And it's a 4-mana spell, so you're going to get the trigger.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got to put that in there. It's an Esper deck. It's got to have some removal, you know? Now, do we put... geez, why am I blanking? Fierce Guardianship?
I mean, you can, right? Because, again, it's another one of those 3 CMC ones. And, you know, if you're wanting to put money into it... it's one of those, like, it's undeniable, right? It's one of those things you're going to auto include anyways. And this is just one of those ones where you get even more value off of the counterspell. Arguably you could do all of the forces, right? To get
Force of Will.
Because you exile a card. Well, you have to cast 2 spells, but you know, if you're exiling a card or, you know, paying mana later or whatever, you do still get the trigger. And then, yeah, if you cast a second spell, you're getting that card draw off of the 4 damage.
Yep. I mean, man, what are we at now? We're at 41 cards. So we're going to get to roughly 64? No, 60. How many lands do you think we want in this deck?
It's kind of funny because my go-to has always been 35.
35.
But statistically, if you want, 3 lands opening hand, a high percentage is 38. I think is the typical number.
Plain Swamp. Let's just do this while we're doing the deck build so that we know how many. Okay, so let's do 10. Whoa, what happened? Gone. Okay, let's add island again. We're just gonna go
Adios.
We're gonna use the plus feature on Architect's wonderful interface. Or let's do 11 each, just as we're gonna do these as placeholders. 11, 12, and 11 is 35 lands. Let's have that in there, so we are at 76 cards for our deck. Oh, actually, can we talk about Enduring Tenacity?
Of course.
So this is 2 blue for an enchantment creature. Sorry, 2 black. I've been doing that a lot lately. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. And then if it dies, it comes back as an enchantment. It's a 4/3. It essentially activates her trigger as well, so that it, whenever somebody gains or loses 2 life, and then we gain 2 life, they're going to lose another 2.
Yeah.
And it's going to make sure that we get that other trigger with the 4 life loss.
The only counterpoint I have to it is a creature. So if I were to go that route, you know, with the
oh right, using the enchantments instead.
Right, I would do, what is that? Exquisite
Sanguine Bond, or is it Exquisite Blood? Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. So it's the other one. Sanguine Bond.
Sanguine Bond would be the other one for Enduring Tenacity. Just so that, you can get the trigger. However, you can argue the same thing with Enduring Tenacity, is it's a body that can block.
Yeah.
It gets you the trigger with Yustola after the fact. And if it dies, it just comes back. So you get double... you get the repeatability, which is
You know what? I'm going to put it in because the only reason I'm going to put it in is because I have actually, out of a collector's booster on my birthday, I did pull this version.
Oh, cool.
Which says $37.99. Yeah, I've got this foily one downstairs. It's a friggin' Pringle, but I am going to put it in the deck because it's so beautiful. Oh my God. Like if you're on YouTube and you see this art, I guarantee you it looks that good or better in person.
Yeah, it's so pretty. And then, you know, if you're looking for alternatives, if, you know, other people are building this deck, it's like you can get your wound reflections, you can get there's a demon that does the same wound reflection thing. All those kind of
we got Marauding Blight Priest. as well. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. That's a 3 mana creature.
You do still have to get the 1 trigger, but it is definitely still an option.
True. It would be, you would be gaining 2, and then they would be losing 2, and then they would lose 1 more. Not quite enough, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a card that you want to talk about for a second while I run off to go pee? Carry the weight of the Rogue's Passage stream.
You go pee. I will have the fun stacks conversation because I'm probably not going to have this conversation here.
Cool. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So I'll just talk about it quickly here while Tanner goes pee. There are some like obvious like. I'm not much of a stacks player myself, but there are some fun ones that can not permanently lock out the game, but force a person to get you some Y'shtola triggers, which is nice. And I wonder if I can actually do this here as well. No, he hasn't let me add it, which is fine. One of the really cheeky cards that I really, really like that I'm probably going to add is called Aether Storm. It's 3 and a blue. It's an enchantment. Creature cards cannot be played. So, you're sitting in a non-creature deck. You're wanting to play as many non-creatures as you can. And you're sitting across dinosaurs or dragons or Eldrazi's or any of that kind of stuff, and you need to slow down the game a little bit. This allows you to stall either a little bit or a lot, really depends on your opponents, because the last half of Aether Storm is you can pay 4 life to destroy Aether Storm. It can't be regenerated, and any player may play this ability. So Tanner, I was just bringing up Aether Storm, which goes back into the Final Fantasy flavor into it.
Aether Storm, is it 1 word or is it 2?
2 words.
Looks like it's 2.
So this one's really fun because you get the Y'shtola trigger on casting it. This one's not bad.
Cannot be played.
So creatures can't be played. Which when you're playing a non-creature deck, it helps slow the game down a bit. But anybody can pay 4 life to blow it up. So you get the Y'shtola trigger to draw a card. So it just replaces itself and could potentially slow the game depending how long people don't want to play creatures.
I feel like that's going to get 4 life very fast, and it's almost like a cycling ability for 4.
Yeah, right. But you still get the trigger, and somebody still lost 4 life. So you're like, okay.
This seems like the art is it's wild.
It's so sweet.
What is this? 1997. So cool. That's a cool card. Right. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I want to screw with the stacks category too much. But also, like we're gonna leave them in the sideboard here because you could. I mean, man, I built the Winota CEDH deck. Played that once, and it's brutal. Like, this is ruthless. Like, this is no way to play a game of Magic. So was that the only one you talked about, or did you talk about another one?
No, that's the only one I talked about. Obviously, you can go into I'm not one to play straight stacks. I won't play Winter Orb or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you're playing a control game, you're trying to slow down the game. So you have in your ramp, you could do Grand Arbiter Augustine. Can reduce your spells of up to 2 if they're blue and white. It slows down your opponent's spells, stuff like that. And it doesn't stop the game, not like Winter Orb or any of those other kind of annoying stacks pieces. But it definitely does slow it down, which is nice.
You got one to talk about, or I got one right here that I want to talk about?
Yeah, actually, there's one I kind of want to bring up, which I think is I really like because it does a bunch of everything that you want to do. And that's actually Staff of Completion. So it's a 3 mana artifact. You can pay 1 life, 2 life, 3 life, or 4 life to do a menagerie of things. So the main one you probably want to look for is so it's just tap. So there's no mana sinks into it except for 5 mana to untap it. But for the most part, you're like, oh, I didn't get the first Y'shtola trigger for 4 damage. I'm just gonna tap the staff
to draw 2.
pay 4 life to draw a card, and then draw 2.
That'll
which
be
isn't bad, right?
Yeah, does this have a cool printing? Oh my god.
Yeah, this is super cool printing.
It sure does. We got a Phyrexian oil or oil slick one. Let's put that in here because it's pretty. That card, yeah, I do feel like I want to start front loading on 3 mana non-creature spells.
Because it also works as a rock, right? Because you can tap it to pay 2 life to add 1 mana of any color.
Nice.
Which is nice. So it can also work as a rock too. It just does everything you want, really.
I like it. Yeah, that's a great card for this deck. Oh, one thing I wouldn't mind, I don't know. Well, let's talk about Unstoppable Plan. Now,
that's another good one.
It's a 3 mana blue enchantment that at the beginning of your end step, you untap all non-permanents you control. So we would be untapping Staff of Completion. We would be untapping all of our creatures, all of our mana rocks. We don't have to worry about our Vigilance Commander. It's not going to untap our lands. Is this too niche, or is this more for the mana rock build?
I think for sure, because you're not I mean, it depends if you're playing the artifact build, right? Yeah. Like if you're playing Esper artifacts, then this is the one, right? Because then you're like, okay, now I'm going to start untapping all my stuff. You know, it's obviously just like a slower, what's it called? The artifact combo that combos off with an imprinted spell that untaps and untaps.
Isochron Scepter?
Stuff. Yeah, that one.
Dramatic Reversal?
Isochron and Dramatic Reversal.
Yeah, ISO Rev.
It just feels like that, right? Like if you're playing the artifact build. But if you're playing spells, it's, you know, at least so far, like with LSA, with, you know, Lease, Roaming Throne, stuff like that, it's not a tap trigger. It's not an activated trigger that's really doing anything. So it's really just helping your rocks.
Yeah.
But again, it can go either way, right? Because untapping 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana rocks then gives you that opportunity to play 2 more spells and deal 4 damage to the table and draw another card.
Yeah, right? So I'll leave this. And it only untaps in your end step, kind of like the green one.
Yeah.
But I'll leave this over here because it's better suited for if you're gonna go heavy on the mana rocks. Next one here is Transpose. It's actually, I believe this is in the deck as well. It's one of the new pre-con cards. 2 and a black instant. Draw and discard a card. You lose a life, and then if this spell was cast from your hand, create one of these new amazing 0/1 black wizard tokens, which whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this token deals 1 damage to each opponent. And then it has rebound. So you will get
it does have rebound.
1 wizard, because if it casts you from your hand, you get the wizard token. But then on the rebound, you're going to get draw and discard, which is still going to cast a 3 mana spell.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like it's basically a cantrip, because you're going to draw and discard, you're going to net 0. Actually, you're going to lose 1. Yeah, so it is a cantrip, because you're going to lose 1, because you're going to draw and discard, so you net 0, but you've played the spell, so you've lost 1. But then as long as you've played a second spell, it refunds itself as a cantrip.
Yeah.
So the only thing I think that's the only thing I don't like about it. But there is, you know, different ways that you can kind of abuse this, obviously. So the rebound, it really sets up your next turn. Because then you get the cast, you get the trigger. So all you have to do is cast 1 more spell. But the fact it is only 3 mana to more or less just draw 1 card, I think, or I guess 2, because of the rebound.
You get the 2 draw and discard triggers. Mm-hmm. You get 1 token.
Because it's a 3 mana for 2 for 2 cards, which isn't bad. And then so the thing you could also go into, obviously, is your flashback synergies. So if you want to get Lier, if you want to do Snapcaster Mage, I know there's a bunch more that allow you to play stuff from your grave, right? Then now you're just churning through your deck, or now your graveyard after your deck. So it's a good card. I just feel like there's better. Like I'd swap this with a frantic search.
Yeah,
Kinda
we
do.
have the
But
frantic
it is
search.
still a good card that lets the deck do what it wants to do.
What about Tandem Lookout? Oh, this is actually another Ophidian Eye Curiosity effect, and it's a 3-mana creature, but it soul bonds with Y'shtola. Each of those creatures has, whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, draw a card.
Yeah, which is great. You know, it's if you have space, I would add it for sure. But the fact it is a creature makes it a little awkward. But at the same time, if you play Tandem Lookout, and then you can pair it with your Ophidian Eye, your Curiosity, like worst case scenario, then you could potentially start drawing some more cards.
Yeah, you draw a lot of cards.
Anything like that, right?
Talion the Kindly Lord. Enters the battlefield, choose a number between 1 and 10. Whenever an opponent casts a spell with mana value, power, or toughness equal to the chosen number, they lose 2 life, which is important, and you draw a card.
Talion really snuck up on me when Eldraine came out.
Yep.
Because I was like, oh, it's not that great. It's just you're gonna maybe get it every now and then. But the fact that they added the freaking the power or toughness of a creature, it sneaks up on you. You're like, oh wait, I've never looked at the power toughness of my creatures before. This is a 3/3, right? It really sneaks up on you to get that second trigger. And I really like Talion in this deck because it's the same as Combo, right?
Yeah,
it's a little worse than Combo because now you have to get very specific with it, but you get to play some fun mind games, right? But it gets you halfway there, right? So if someone's like, oh, like worst case, if someone hasn't played their commander yet, you can be like, okay, I'm going to name the commander CMC. Then it's like, okay, I'm going to play my commander. And it's like, cool, you've lost 2. Now I'm going to play, a frantic search or whatever, right? And then now that gets you your 4 to draw you your...
Yeah, you're going to have drawn 2 cards off that endeavor, and you have a 3/4 flyer on the battlefield. So being a flyer, I think, over the Tandem Lookout, I like that as a body in there. There's 2 creatures here. I hate the fact that we're just dialing in on so many creatures. But there's Sheoldred the Apocalypse and Keza, Augur of Agonies. Sheoldred is the card's busted. It's gonna probably get you targeted if it hits the battlefield.
Here's the thing too, right? Because it's like you're sitting with the deck that we're currently building. Your Stola is gonna be a menace, right?
Yeah.
So the more threats that people have to answer to, the better. Because then you're like, hey, here's this Sheoldred that everybody hates forever. Here's this Jingataxias, deal with that.
Yeah.
Not the actual secret threat, which is my Y'shtola over in the corner here.
Right.
Like, it's still great. And then, same thing, right?
Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life.
To what you want.
Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. So we're going to be hitting massive card draw off this from people if they just draw a second card in their turn.
Yeah.
So I think it's undeniably
every turn, like people want to draw cards in Magic, right?
Yeah.
Nobody doesn't want to draw cards.
Where are we at on price on this deck? Ooh,
more likely than not, that's just gonna, create dividends, and you're just gonna, it's gonna create passive income where you're like, oh, I instantly dealt 4 damage. I'm gonna start, drawing cards.
Yep. Now keep in mind this. I've got some cool versions of cards selected in here, but we're at $600 on the deck cost as we're sitting. So it's going to be less than that because you don't have to put in the cool Enduring Tenacity or, frankly, you don't have to put in, you can do whatever you want with your deck. But yeah, some of these are Gucci versions that I put in here. I got this SpongeBob Foil Dismember, which, what a gift to Magic. My God.
What a gift. What a gift indeed.
How you feel about Veto?
Veto, same thing, right? You're gaining the 2, which is going to make somebody lose 2. That's what matters. As long as somebody is losing 4, you're going to get that card draw, right?
Yep.
So,
and it also has the creatures you control gain lifelink until the end of turn, that activated ability.
Yeah, it's same deal, right? It's like if you've got nothing going on, worst case, you could just pay the 5 mana, give Y'shtola lifelink, and start, just really chaining off, gaining some life. If you're sitting, oh, I've done this whole I lose life strategy for too long, and now I'm sitting at 12 life. I should probably gain a bit more life, right? You can really invest into that and then go from there.
Yeah, because the creatures gaining lifelink also turns into Y'shtola's damage trigger on the opponents as well. So you gain 6 life off of just however much damage. I mean, if you have a roaming thrown out, you're going to gain 12 off of just casting a CMC3 spell. And
so busted.
Yeah, so Veto, I think we'll put in there. We'll have to see if we have to trim on creatures, because we also have Keza to talk about here. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life.
See, the thing about Keza though is the card draw trigger is after somebody has lost 4 life, right? So it doesn't help the Y'shtola plan to get the damage for the card draw.
Okay.
It's inverse, right? So then it's like, okay, well, now that I've drawn a card, I'll just drain for 1. But you're innately doing that just by playing your spells anyways. So I think it's one of those awkward flip-flop ones where she probably won't work in the deck and will get kind of clunky.
I'm sold. Another creature here, which I think comes in the deck. Papalymo Totalimo. Cheap little white and black for a Dwarf Wizard 1/2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain a life. 4 and tap. Sacrifice Papalymo. Each opponent who lost life this turn sacks a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. It seems like it does seem templated, like it's good in the deck for the precon level. But should we have it in here because we're already high on creatures?
My little potato man.
Yeah, right.
So the other awkward thing about this, so he's nice because he's a 2-drop and is kind of a 6 mana, probably 3 for 1, but there's Soul Shatter for that at 3 mana itself that you could run.
Right.
2 mana as an early blocker is nice, but the thing that gets awkward is like if you play Y'shtola and Papalymo, right? In order to get the 4 damage with Papalymo, you have to play 2 spells.
Yeah, so you're already getting...
But if you have Y'shtola, you just need to play 2 spells anyways.
Yeah.
So
we'll leave this in the
because
main
if
board.
you play 1 spell, that gets you to 3, right? So that doesn't get you to that 4. So it's a really weird point at option at that point. If it were me, I would just replace it with Soul Shatter. Would be a
let's look at Soul Shatter here.
1 for 1.
Soul Shatter. For some reason my music. Hold on, I'm gonna stop. Oh, it's just YouTube being slow. It'll come back, I believe. Womp, 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 womp. Sorry, everybody. Soul Shatter is going to be in the removal category. 2 and a black. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. I'm just going to hit a bunch of commanders.
It is also planeswalker removal, which is nice.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like that.
But I also want to stress super duper hard that this is more building around Y'shtola, not building a Final Fantasy 14 deck, at least from what it's sounding so far. If you love your little potato man like I do, like if you love Papalymo or you love Urianger and Thancred and like all the characters like I do, don't ever stress away from that. Like, just because I say Papalymo isn't going to work in this part doesn't mean he doesn't work in the deck. He's in the deck for a reason, and he's a great card for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop over here and hit next on the music, see if that fixes it.
Might help.
Come on.
Yeah. So I just want to stress that it's like if you like the card, keep the card in there. He's incredible, and you build what you want to build, because this build here is completely different from the build that I'm going to be building coming up soon here.
Yeah, Mercy is in chat. What's up? Mercy says, I saw Talion. Yep, we got Talion in here. Talion is it's just a house, and like I've actually never been able to cast and play with Talion, so I think I'm probably gonna put it in the deck here. How do we feel about Necropotence?
Any excuse to play Necropotence is a good excuse for me. There's good and bad, right? So the good, you get to lose life and draw a ton of cards. The bad, it's 3 black. In a 3-color deck, especially when you're probably trying to play that on turn 4, after you've played Y'shtola. You play Y'shtola on 3. You attempt to play Necropotence on 4 is hard.
It's tough, yeah.
Really, really hard. Unless you're playing
I do think as
all fetches or something.
If you draw
like
this,
that's your stack.
If you draw this in turn 6, 8, 9, it's a very active draw to trigger Y'shtola, and then it also just like supercharges the deck.
Yeah.
So I do think Necropotence. What does this card cost nowadays? $24 American?
Yeah, it got reprinted quite a bit actually.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Anything else you want to suggest before I keep going through my maybe board here?
What do I got? Like there were a bunch of like different archetypes that I kind of thought of. We had the clone options.
Which we've got.
Crackling Counterpart is a fun one because it also has flashback, so you get the cast again. One of the ones that I think I didn't really want to scoff at is going to be Norn's Annex.
Oh, Crackling Counterpart is actually not going to hit Y'shtola though, because it doesn't make it legendary.
No, for sure. So that's really dependent on what you want to do.
Yep.
And it really depends on the deck, right? If you're going into that clone theory with like a couple other creatures and stuff like that, it could work. But in this one, not so much.
Yeah.
Another one I wanted to talk about though for sure was Norn's Annex, especially if this is one of the ones where it's like we're not playing a ton of creature generators, and the creatures we do have we don't want to block with.
This is gives us the trigger as well as the life loss.
Exactly right. So because you have the double Phyrexian white, you can lose the 4 life on yourself to draw you your card, turning a Pillow Fort card into a cantrip. Which is
so
awesome.
I do think that this deck does deserve to have the Ghostly Prison and propaganda package as well, so I'm going to put those in as well. Ghostly Prison and propaganda, those should go side by side here. Propaganda is also a 2 and a blue. Creatures can attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature that's attacking you, and Ghostly Prison is the same. Yeah, I do like those. Where are we at? We're at 87 cards.
Still a decent amount.
What's this one that I was looking at? Soul Link. 1 white and a black enchant creature. Whenever enchanted creature deals or is dealt damage, you gain that much life. So it sort of does.
It's just another one of those lifelink ones.
Yeah, it's just lifelink. Probably not want to focus on just the lifelink.
It's nice to have like a little bit, but for the most part, it's another archetype, right?
Yeah.
If you want to lean into the life,
the Aetherflux Reservoir thing.
Yeah, if you give her lifelink, like this deck goes burn like no tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. But with this one, we're leaning more into the actual like spellslinger aspect of it. So you don't really need to lean too heavily into it, but there are definitely some fun ones that you can run.
We got Light of Promise, 2 and a white, enchantment aura. Whenever enchanted creature has, whenever you gain life, put that many 1/1 counters on this creature. So that is going to make Y'shtola massive. Every time you cast a 3 CMC spell, you're going to put 6 counters on Y'shtola.
Crazy.
Like, and then if you double trigger that with the 7 copy effects we've got in this deck, you're going to put 12 counters on her.
All of a sudden, turn her into Y'shwola.
Oh my god, that is definitely the title of this video. Thank you so much for that. Yeshwola.
There you
Okay.
go.
Light of Promise is going in. That's amazing. Where did it go? It's in Life Gain. Yeah, that's a very good card. I do believe. What about Sword and Feast and Famine?
The thing about Sword of Feast and Famine though is you have to connect with it, and you're not really attacking much with this deck, unless you get your Fairy Trickster or like some of your flyers. But for the most part, like this deck doesn't want to attack.
True. I mean, we do have Vigilance. It's going to be a 4/6 creature with Vigilance and pro green and black. Do you think that allows us to get in, or do you think it's gonna?
It really depends on the pod, right?
Yeah.
Because it works, and it's also awkward, right? Because you wanna hit with your Stola or like whatever creature you have, frankly. And as long as you have a 1/1, you get the 4 damage, which is nice. Because it is +3/+2, right? Or is it +2/+2?
+2/+2, like most. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We
So
got the
you at
Buster
least need a
Sword, which
2/2.
is
Yeah.
+3/+2.
So you do need a 2/2 or like a 2/1, I guess. Which is a little weird. Actually, I don't think anything in this deck so far is a 1 other than Veto.
Yeah, true.
You do need to connect, but as long as you're going against the Golgari player, you're fine, right?
Yeah.
So it can be clunky because if you're not going against that pod, you might struggle to connect.
Okay, if we have
But
some room, we'll put it in.
Also a 4/6 body, which is big. So
Yeah, and I mean, it also is a 3-mana spell, and it essentially gives us an entire untap on our mana to go into the turns
into your next turn.
Yeah, which is going to give us with our how many cards? We got 4 cards that are going to give us flash speed. We also have Valley Flood Color in here, which gives non-creature spells flash.
I like this one. I'm always a full value person, and the fact that you're only playing 1 otter is a little strange.
Yeah. All right. What else did I put in here to look at? What does McCready Lamplight Mare do? Whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks against Skulk. So Y'shtola will have a much better time getting in, and whenever a creature with power 4 or greater attacks you, its controller loses 2 life and you gain 2 life.
Yeah, so this is another one of those, stacks pieces like Norn's Annex or, anything like that. Where it's like, hey, if you attack me, you're going to lose 2 life, and I'm holding 3 mana to make you lose 4 so I can draw my card. Right?
Yeah. And if they attack you with 2 4/4s or more, then you just get her trigger immediately.
Yeah. Is it whenever a creature? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if and then because for the most part, people are like, okay, well, just swing at you with a giant 20/20. You're like, okay, cool. I was holding this Mortify. I'm gonna get the 4 damage anyways, and blow up your creature and draw a card.
Oh yeah, you can nuke them on at instant speed on the attack and still get the.
And still get the trigger, right? Because it's on attack, right?
Pretty good. Okay, so this and what was the other one? Sword and Feast and Famine and McCready are good, but we'll see if we have room. Hermes, I believe, is in this deck as well. One of the precon, or
Yes.
it's in this precon. Now this is a kind of a buffed. What's it called? Talrand and the other one that makes bird tokens. The one from Ravnica.
Yeah,
But this one's 3 and a blue. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 bird token with flying and vigilance. And then whenever you attack with 1 or more birds, scry 2. It's pretty sick.
The scry is nice for sure, because you do get the attack, right? So then you get to scry, which at the end of turn you get to see what you're going to draw next, unless like it helps you churn through the deck.
Yep.
It really depends how you want to go with it, right? Because if you want a little more attack power, I would just still go for Talrand, because you get the 2/2 Drakes.
Yes.
So now all you have to do is play 2 spells, and then now you're getting the 4 damage on the attack with the evasion.
Right.
or at least I think. He
We
makes
got
2/2 drakes.
another song stopping on us. My God, we're doing this live, everybody. We're going to go to the next song. It's okay. We're
The internet's
absolute
no light.
amateurs, so we got to pass. Okay, so we'll leave that on the maybe board for a second. We got Grim Tutor, which is a 3-mana
Another tutor.
sorcery tutor that can look for another spell to cast on that turn. You already lose 3 life. For casting Grim Tutor, we're already actually, where are we at? We got 3 tutors in the deck already. So if we go one more, we're going to be power 4. Or bracket,
no.
Right? We go up.
No.
If we do one more game changer.
Getting that game changer in there.
You know
Is
what?
Grim Tutor a game changer? I don't even think it's a game changer.
But it's more than 3 tutors. Isn't bracket 3 a few tutors, or is it?
I don't know. I don't even pay attention to the
Let's
brackets.
try it out. We'll go auto. We'll put it in. And no, we're still in estimated bracket 3.
Yeah,
So Grim Tutor's in there. Bolus's. Oh wait, no. I wanted to look at Dissipation Field. 2 blue enchantment. Whenever a permanent deals damage to you, return it to its owner's hand. Oh, okay, I guess that's kind of like the Norn Xanax or whatever. Like if someone's going to hit me, there's going to be a cost, right?
Exactly, right? You know,
slow
and
people down.
that's kind of where I was going about those stacks pieces, where it's
Yeah.
like, hey, because it's not exactly a stacks piece, but it kind of is at the same time. Because, you know, if you're down to 1v1 and you have a dissipation field, it's like, hey, well, make your hit count, right?
Yeah, it's very protective.
And all that kind of stuff, right? And especially if you slap this immediately after your Stola, you're like, yeah, send your 4/4 that way.
And then we still
Right,
get
go
we
the other
still
way.
get our trigger off it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think this one keeps it does at least keep the game pushing forward. I like Dissipation Field. Bolus's Citadel. This deck is going to gain a decent amount of life.
Yeah.
And I think that Bolus's Citadel is one of those cards that it can at least put you in a position. I mean, we have Enlightened Tutor that can search for it. Grim Tutor would search for it. If we need to end the game, we can go to Bolus's Citadel. And the cool thing about Bolus's Citadel, which I love, is sometimes I screw it up so bad and I just put myself in a position to die. Like, it's not a guarantee, right? It's a bit of a random.
Well, this is the cool one where it pairs with Y'shtola nicely, right? Because it's, you know, depending how many game winners you're looking, like game closers you're trying to figure out in your deck. This is another one of those good ones, right? Because it allows you, it basically reduces all of your spells by 2.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you cast the spell, you're gonna gain 2 life and kill the table by 2. And like, Bolus's Citadel isn't just a way to play cards; it's a way to kill the table.
Yeah,
right?
Because you can also
for every
sack
spell you
permanents.
play, you're gonna hit everyone for 2.
Yeah.
So as long as like this deck, also it shouldn't be a shouldn't be a high CMC deck, right?
Yeah.
You want it to be pretty much only 3s and 4s, with a couple, you know, big bombs like Bolus's Citadel itself. So realistically, for every spell you're playing, you're only losing 1 life.
Yeah.
Because you're going to pay 3 for your 3 CMC card, and then you're going to gain 2, and then so you've only net lost 1 for every spell you cast.
Yeah.
So, you know, you play 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 cards if you're lucky enough to kill the table.
Yeah,
right?
and you know what? This version that I've put in here, the art that I've selected, this foil with the cool War of the Spark, what is it, insignia behind the text. I was just recently organizing my collection, and I forgot that I got 2 of these draft weekend promos. So I have 2 of these sitting around. So I'm going to put it in the list because I know I'm going to throw it in my deck. Because, you know, when they're sitting there in the box rotting, you might as well put it in the deck.
You just got to put them in there, right?
Yeah.
I also just want to take a quick mention of this as well, because I just noticed it as well. Citadel is the extra sheet version of Bolus's Citadel as Kefka's Tower.
Wait, we got a new one that's Final Fantasy?
Incredible. Yeah.
Okay.
This art is super sick.
All right. Okay, if I can get my hands on one of those, but that's
it's going in the deck.
ooh, this is Yoshitaka Amano art for Y'shtola deck.
It's incredible.
Okay, I don't know how much that card's gonna be, but if this is already
Gonna be a lot.
It's gonna be a lot. Another black card that deserves talking about here is Black Market Connections.
I agree, 100%.
Two and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, choose one or more, and they all have life loss tagged onto them. So you can, let's say, sell contraband. You can create a treasure token and lose a life. Draw a card, lose 2 life, or create a 3/2 shapeshifter and lose 3 life. So one or more. You can do all of them.
Yeah, it's a little awkward because basically you either want to create a treasure and make the skeleton, or you want to draw a card and make the skeleton.
Yeah.
So you're either losing 4 or 5 at the bare minimum. You could full send and just go 6. But for me, like, actually, maybe I'm lying because I was going to say you never really want the skeleton because it's a body, but 3 life for a 3/2 is a little pricey. But the fact that you're wanting to have some blockers might actually be worth that 3 life.
Sorry.
Which you could also go into cards like Bitter Blossom, and you could really go into that token route if you really, really wanted to and really lean into that bit.
Yeah, I do love Bitter Blossom.
But I like this one because it is 3. Right. Yep. So you get the trigger off of Y'shtola, and it creates you bodies, and it gets you the 4 damage trigger.
And you get a treasure.
Really need to on your turn. Yeah.
Yep. I think it is like high value because we are poised to gain life in this deck. So I believe just on cast we're going to gain 2 of that life back at least. So yeah. I love it.
Dig it.
What about As Foretold? This is kind of a maybe, but it's going to allow us to cast our second spells easier. It's 2 and a blue enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on it once each turn. Once each turn.
Each turn, yeah.
Oh my god. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast with mana value X or less, where X is the number of time counters on it. This has to be in the deck.
The only thing I don't like about it is you still have to follow timing restrictions.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're not playing a flash deck or a control deck, it's like, okay, you'll for sure get one, every now and then, and for sure on your turn because you get to cast your sorceries. I think here it might be worth it, but if you're like in a flash deck, it's a slam dunk, right? Or a control deck where you're playing nothing but instances. Again, a slam dunk, right?
So we could add this and the Valley Flood color and have a very high frequency of being able to play anything that we have at flash speed.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I don't like about As Foretold though is it's not a reducer. You have to pay
the full spell. That's full cost.
It's the full spell or less, right?
Yeah.
So you're waiting 3, 4, 5 turns, minimum 3, right? 3 or 4 turns. You're waiting to get that spell on board or to get As Foretold on board. And at that point, the game's already half over. So you're going to get, 2 casts, right?
True,
now, if this was a
because
Traxa,
we're not
that's
proliferating. Yeah. Okay, so as for where are we at? We're at 92 cards. If you go 3 turns, then we're just locked on being able to play our 3 drops. And what it means is on our turn, we can use our free cast to cast our creature spell.
Yeah.
It does tickle my brain. It does tickle my brain.
It's both good or bad. But because you're running, your tutors, it is another item that you can grab if you're like, I feel like playing As Foretold this time, right?
Okay, let's put it in, and we're at 93 cards. Maybe Valley Flood Caller is to be able to unlock that. We're at 94. What are we missing in regards to a category? We've got our lands, at least the numbers in place. We've got 7 clones, 5 flashy flash cards, 6 ramp, 4 cards in protection, 9 in removal, and 4 in tutor.
You know, if you include your tutors, you're sitting right at 10 on card draw, and it's like you are drawing some cards with Y'shtola, but it is only one a turn. So maybe some more card draw like engines would be really, really good. You know, running like say like an Archmage Emeritus, you know, any of those kind of cards that will help you just kind of churn through the deck even more, I think is just.
Now those are creatures that are going to give us triggers for playing non-creatures. Are we worried about how many creatures we have? What do we got for creature count?
Maybe we're sitting at 10,
17, 18,
11, 12, 13,
20, 21, 22. We're only at about 22 creatures. That's actually not a lot for a 100 card deck. So we could probably do the Archmage of Runes and Archmage Emeritus.
Sounds pretty good to me, honestly.
Archmage Emeritus, Archmage of Runes. That puts us at 96. Do we want more draw spells that are just non-creature draw spells? Like Frantic Search is like a velocity card.
Yeah, you know, like especially if you're sitting at like it's gonna help you. Sorry, the fact that card draw spells will basically also help you win the game, I think, is also really, really nice. Because you could just be like, oh, I'm gonna draw cards, but Y'shtola is gonna also burn the table, and I'm also gonna gain life from it. You can never say no to too much card draw.
What do we want? There was a new the Divination got essentially reprinted as an instant speed spell. Is that a card?
Did it?
Yeah, there was a new version of Divination at 2 and a blue. I don't know if you can search for it. I don't want to switch my screen right now. I remember listening to Limited Resources, like just the draft kind of breakdown of the set. It was like, well, I guess Divination's instant speed now.
Let's take a quick look.
Magic is growing up, you know. We're getting towards an hour and 47 on the recording. Thankfully, we are getting close. I know when we started this, I was like, man, I wouldn't mind like bringing the time down compared to the Gale deck that we did. But also, yeah, like
over an hour.
For everybody that watched that, thank you. That was it performed better than most of the podcasts that we do, and it was really fun to do it. And I do have that deck sleeved up now, and I can't wait to play it. Before we, I guess, find that card, I do also have one more in here that I want to talk about. It's Blood Chief's Ascension. It is not a 3-mana spell. It's only 1, but it's an enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, put a quest counter on it. And then whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, if it has 3 counters on it, you may have that player lose 2 life if you do gain 2 life. It seems mildly slow. Wait. Yeah, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, you may put a quest counter on it. So we're going to get that triggering in a turn cycle maybe 2 at most. And then whenever something hits the graveyard.
The weird one with Blood Chiefs, though, is it's, you know, innately you're looking at discard synergies. Because then you're like, okay, everyone discard a card. Okay, now you...
Right, it's like a Nekisar card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like you have Ancestral Reminiscence, draw 3 cards, discard a card, you know, for 3 mana or 4 mana. Arrester's Admonition, return target creature to its owner's hand. If you cast it during your main phase, draw a card. There's obviously, if you want to get like selective and like have some fun with it, you could do like Fact or Fiction.
So Ancestral Reminiscence is sick, but can we get like a draw 2 and discard that's at 3 mana? I just want to try and be more efficient on the...
Let's go specific then. Let's just go exactly mana 3.
Man, YouTube is just calling it quits.
Having a heyday today.
Let's hold on. Sorry everybody, this is live. Oh, it's already on 360p.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
You know what? We're going to leave it. Maybe we'll just pause. Thanks for enjoying some Planeswalker music while we did this, but I think I'm just going to put it to bed so it's not going in and out. Oh, I got Stormscape Familiar over here. We didn't talk about white spells and black spells. Cost 1 less to play.
I mean, it's definitely good because it's Nightscape Familiar, and most of the deck you're going to probably be playing when you're playing this kind of archetype is going to be it's going to be blue, right? So
Nightscape Familiar is the other one that we want to look at then, right?
Yeah, but that's only blue and red. So only your blue spells will be 2 less. At that point, I'd rather just play, like Cloud Key, choose instant or sorcery, whatever you're choosing. Geyser Drake, as long as it's not your turn, your spells are 1 less.
Stormscape does
Grand
help us
Arbiter
get
again, blue and white.
Stormscape helps us get Y'shtola out a turn early.
That too.
So it's a good early play.
It is, yeah. It is also another, kind of mana rock, which is great. It really depends on the colors of your deck. I think it could work here for sure. Especially, you're looking at your tutors. A lot of your cards are multicolored, so
white and black. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Stormscape is, it put itself in the ramp category there. Okay, we're at 97 cards.
Like card draw, you got billions and billions on what you want to decide with, right? Like one of the newer ones from Modern Horizons 3, Brain Surge, which is a 3-mana brainstorm, lets you draw 2 cards. Right. Look at 4, put 2 back.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe we're getting close to 2 hours here. So maybe we just like for the homies that make it to the end of this and actually have like some suggestions, hit up the comments. Tell us what we're absolutely crazy for putting in this deck and what we are crazy for not remembering. I don't know all the cards in Magic. That's why I get people to come and help me do deck text.
That's why I do Scryfall. I just look up what kind of things I want to look for and just kind of search from there. I definitely know for me, mine's just going to be more of a generic value engine. There's going to be a little bit of stacks pieces. There's going to be some control pieces. There's going to be some wacky, wild group hug cards, all that kind of stuff. And I'm super stoked to, actually brew this one myself and slap together all of my favorite characters from the MMO. And
so when you get that list put together, please just slap it in the comments of this video as well. So we've got multiple deck lists to look through. And I mean, I can't wait to get this put together and play it. It's been a month and a half of like tease burn time. And I've been sourcing out, I'm going to put together, it'll probably take me until Halloween this year, but I'm going to put together Y'shtola cosplay. I want to do like a gender bender Y'shtola.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah. There's 2 different outfits that are like really, really cool. There's like this one, of course, that's in the art with like the black kind of with the white fur around the neck.
With the white fur.
I don't have the chest to really accentuate that. But there's
robes with the fur.
Yep. It's sick. We were at the Calgary Expo recently, and I mean, I was dressed as Cloud, and my wife Callie was dressed as Vi from Arcane, and we did bump into a S tier Y'shtola cosplay, and just
that's awesome.
Had to like that was what did it.
We're not worthy.
Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, oh my god, I think I know what I want to do next. Yes.
Yeah, that would be super cool. You got it. Like, I could just see it as like a, you could go like a very fancy, like dress blazer, almost like the popped up collars. And then like almost that like cyberpunkiness, but you get that Neo or what's his name? Neo coat from the Matrix, get all Neo, that kind of stuff going on. Yeah, just get the giant cane and everything like that. That'd be sweet.
Hell yeah. All right, well, thanks for sitting down with me finally. It took ages to put this together, but got busy lives, and you guys just moved. Congratulations on your new place.
It feels weird having the background blank.
Yeah.
So we're definitely excited to decorate our area again. Get back to streaming. Have all that fun hanging out with all our friends and
And where can people find you again if they've made it this far?
Yeah, so you guys can catch me on Twitch for now. It's RPGFIXX with 2 X's, so RPGFIXX at twitch.com. And hopefully down the pipeline a bit, we're going to be getting our own YouTube bits going on as well. So for everyone there, keep an eye out. And
look at the comments of this video. Post that stuff in here. And thank you all for coming to another live deck brew at the Rogues Passage. Hit up our link tree. It'll be in the comments of every video that we have. We got merch. Link to our Discord where we've been doing a lot of spell table and stuff lately. All the stuff. Come be a part of the community. We love you guys.
Come be bro.
Yeah. And I've got another bunch of blank deck lists here on Architect to jump into some more. I really want to build Clive and Ifrit, man. I really want to do Clive because that deck seems like it'll be just ridiculous. And that deck
looks honestly bananas.
The new mono white Cloud seems like if you're gonna play a Final Fantasy deck, you want to play Cloud. This deck's gonna slap. The one that tutors for something and then double triggers on the abilities. Also, I do want to build the Landfall Tifa, the green one, but I do feel like that deck is going to sit pleasantly beside my Evra Halcyon Witness deck, where it's just like, all right, my plan's on board. I kill someone at the table every turn. Yeah, do something about it. Like,
I might have to build that one into a 60 card, probably modern or something like that. And you're just just gonna kill my opponent turn 3. No big deal.
Yeah, and as much as I wanted to, I wanted to include the other mono blue version of Y'shtola in this deck. It does not really work with the plan here, but it does work as a commander. And maybe we'll touch on that one as well. Maybe I'll get you and Mercy to come and help with that.
Yeah, that'd be a super fun one.
Cool. All right. Well, awesome. See you later. Thanks for hanging out with the stream. Everybody have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming to the Rogues Passage. I've been Tanner Cherry. This has been RPGFIXX. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Rogues Passage. Bye. Thanks,